Hello everyone, your instructor here, John Mandula, with another screencast. This one about Verdana. Now, Verdana is a very ugly typeface. In fact, it looks this way on purpose. It's not supposed to look ugly. It's considered clunky by a lot of people. That's because it was never intended to be looked at this size. We're just looking at this size so we can see some of the characteristics. First of all, you notice it's a very boring typeface. Nothing about it sticks out all that much. You will notice that the dot in the eye is actually thicker than the stroke of the stem of the eye, which is kind of odd. The E and the R, notice their finials just stop vertically, very dramatically. The capital R has a leg that's not connected to the stem, and look how far it's kicked out. It's kicked out very far from the stem off the bowl. M's valley does not touch the baseline. And then if you look at letters like P, they're not graceful at all. Look at how this bowl just like is stuck on, like it's glued onto the stem. It doesn't curve nicely. There's not a nice bracketing to smooth that out. It's just bam. Same with the M. Notice how it's just lock, stock, and barrel just stuck on there. The R is the same way. You'll notice that all the lowercase letters, even the A, it's not curvy and smooth to get down there. It's just attached on. The uppercase I has crossbar top and bottom, which is kind of interesting. We don't usually see that in sans serif typefaces, but this one has it. And the T is a super wide crossbar, so designed to look very different from each other. In this case, the uppercase I is designed to look very different from the lowercase L. That's on purpose. This typeface is all about reading on a screen, not in print, reading on a screen at small sizes. So you can see as it gets smaller, usually we don't even look at these. You can see it's smaller here. Notice how still easy to read it is. So it's at 10 point. It actually looks pretty easy to read. You can make that out. Other typefaces we've looked at, especially a lot of the serif typefaces, they're thin forms, almost impossible to read at this size on the screen. But this one on screen, very, very easy to read. And these are actually images. If they were typed out, they'd be even clearer and easier to read than they are right now. And part of that has to do with the wide letter forms, the clunky nature, and the fact that there's a generous amount of spacing between the letters. I mean, look at all the space that exists there. That's not just for show that so much space is actually there. There's a huge amount of space between a letter and a period. That's on purpose. If we look at why Verdana was created, again, it's created for small sizes. So look here, this is a test. This is the reason why Verdana was created. So there was MS Sans Serif from Microsoft Sans Serif, and it looks like this at small sizes. Notice the letters get kind of hard to read. They're close together. There's just not enough pixels to define all their intricate qualities. Arial, a little bit easier to read. It's a little bit taller, a little more open, but the spacing between it is still pretty tight, and so you get some forms that run into each other. Now Verdana, this is all the exact same point size for this. Notice how much more open it is. The X height is gigantic. Very open forms, very wide forms, and the spacing between the forms is much more generous as well. You can tell that just by looking at how long the line is as opposed to how long these two lines are. There's more spacing and each letter form is wider. So this is what Verdana is all about, to be read at small sizes. Here's just like some type examples. You can see even at the smallest type size, the default of size 1 in HTML, it's still very easy to read. Even the bold doesn't get too thick. It's easy to read. Of course, when it gets bigger, it's kind of chunky and ugly. Verdana is a web-safe font. It's one of the considered web-safe fonts. What that means is that every computer in the world has this typeface in it. Other web-safe fonts would be Times New Roman, Arial, Courier, things like that. So Verdana, so if I was to have an email, I can actually choose Verdana as one of my options in my email. I usually use Tahoma, which is like a slightly more graceful version of Verdana. But Verdana is very easy to read. So again, this is Verdana at 16 point, very clunky. Here's Verdana at 30 point. Still quite clunky, even though it's not bold. You can see again that it's not very graceful. The T is huge, big, ugly apostrophe, all the spacing everywhere. The P, the bold, is just attached onto the stem. But then here's it at 8 point, which is the smallest type size that allows me for my email, and it's still super easy to read. There's nothing about it is hard at all. I can even bold this. It'll be quite easy to read, if not easier. So this is what Verdana was made for. Alright, we read at small sizes. Now, what Verdana was not made for was print. So the IKEA catalog, which is a gorgeous catalog, decided in 2010 to change it from Futura to IKEA. You see this is the typeface they used before, very beautiful Futura, and they went to the clunky Verdana afterward. There's a page there, and then you look at the page here, it's just ugly, it looks cheap. There's a huge uproar in the design community about this typeface.